Sewing with Shaun. I have lots and lots of scraps, cut ends, bits and pieces. What do you do with them? Well, I gather them up. I cut them into varying widths between 1.5 and 2.5 inches wide, and I collect them. And when I get enough, I make blocks out of batting. Again, this is we call Frankenblock, or just, taking cut ends of batting, making them in, these are 12-inch squares. And I take my 12-inch squares and I find a suitable backing. My backing's about 2 inches wider and longer. So I put this on. I've got a 1-inch border all the way around. If you're new to something like this, I'd recommend going with a 2-inch border. So for a 12-inch square, you're going to actually want your backing to be 16 inches around. And that'll give you a nice base, and then when you connect these to the next piece, you've got a lot of extra fabric to work with. So if you screw up or things aren't quite lining up straight, you've got a little bit of wiggle room. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to choose some of my fabrics. And I'm going to take 2 of them and lay the first one down corner to corner diagonally, like that. And if these are too wrinkly, you can just run them under the iron real quick. These aren't too bad. And just random. Don't put a whole lot of thought process into it. So the first piece goes on right side up, and the second one goes right side down. And I'm going to run over to the sewing machine real quick, and I'm going to sew a line, 1/4 inch seam here. Okay, we've taken it over to the sewing machine. Sewed our seam. Next thing to do is iron this down, press this seam nice and smooth. So there we have it. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose 2 more pieces of fabric. Again, remember I tell you, just grab, find something that fits. Don't overthink it. It's not a thinking process, it's a fun process. So this time I'm going to choose 2 pieces, one there, and one here. Go back over to the sewing machine, sew these down, iron them, and open them up. We'll be right back. One little piece to put there. Alright, next up, we're going to very carefully trim this. How I do it is I flip it over and pull my threads. Then pull this up, Pull the backing up so you can just see the batting. Here's my straight ruler. This corner's going to be a little bit tricky. Sometimes you'll have to go and pop a stitch if you've sewn too far. There we go. So just be very careful doing this so you're not cutting into the backing at all. That's why I use the straight edge. Line it up along the batting, not the backing. Take my rotary cutter and cut away all the excess. And we've just got to do that 3 more times. Just always be very careful. Line it up with the edge of the batting. A lot of the pieces I cut off, they get recycled back into the scraps box and used again. And I know some quilters out there can make some really interesting stuff with the little tiny pieces. I'm not that patient. So, line it up, make sure the back is out of the way. Same as last time There we go. Line the straight edge of your ruler up with the edge of the batting, rotary cutter. There you have it. I'll be making a total of 48 of these squares, and what's going to happen next, I'll show you real quick, is look at that, 2 of them, just like magic. I'm going to be sewing these together just like this. There's going to be a seam here that'll press, and these will get tucked under like that. I only have 46 more to go. Okay, there's making a string block. I'll check back in with you further along the progress of this project.